The UK government says families of NHS staff or social care workers who die of COVID-19 will be offered £60,000. Health Secretary Matt Hancock announced the life assurance scheme at the daily coronavirus update. The government continues to face criticism over shortages of personal protective equipment for frontline health workers and its lack of testing.
Of course, nothing replaces the loss of a loved one. But we want to do everything that we can to support families who are dealing with this grief. And as a government, we're looking closely at other professions that work on the front line against coronavirus, who also do not have access to such schemes, to see where this may be required.
Let's go straight over to London, where we can speak to our reporter Victoria Smith. Victoria, 82 NHS staff and 16 social workers have so far died from COVID-19 whilst battling the disease on the front line. Did Mr Hancock give any more details about who exactly is going to be qualifying for this scheme?
Well, good evening, Oliver. Yes, Matt Hancock and the government certainly feeling the pressure in terms of numbers. We now hear those figures, yes, of 82 NHS staff and 16 care workers. There's been a lot of problems, a lot of questions asked about, particularly about social care workers that have, to some extent, fallen under the radar. So this life assurance scheme has been announced for all of them, for the NHS workers, the social care workers, and the families of those who have died as well, as a kind of olive branch to all of them. And the government is feeling the pressure too from business because of fears over the economy, which obviously has flatlined its worst ever retail figures in March, worst ever on record, and April's set to look even worse. So the Chancellor there has announced an extra loans for small businesses, up to £50,000 for them, another olive branch going out there. Matt Hancock obviously was asked about tests as well. He has a few days left to honour his pledge of 100,000 tests for COVID-19 among key workers by the end of the month. We're nearly there, and at the moment the tests stand at 37,000 a day in the last 24 hours of data. That's a long way short of 100,000, but it is getting closer. And he in fact said at the news conference this evening that he is broadly satisfied, that broadly we are where we want to be. And we had, surprisingly, something new from the conference this evening. We had a question from a normal person, not a journalist, but from a member of the public, a grandmother who's missing her grandchildren, missing her hugs, and wants to know when social isolation will be lifted. But as we know from Boris Johnson's speech earlier today, the lockdown is set to continue for now.
And Victoria, Boris Johnson had his first day back at work today, but he wasn't at that press briefing.
He wasn't, no. He did appear this morning. He chaired the cabinet meeting this morning. He was fully briefed on developments. He has been in touch with senior ministers as well as the Queen and President Trump in the past week. And he did come out to talk to journalists who were waiting outside number 10 to greet him. And he did say that now is not the moment to lose patience. Of course, he knows better than anyone what it's like to get through this dreadful virus. And he is taking a cautious approach. Unsurprisingly, he says that he commends the British public for standing firm, for their sheer grit and guts. He's thanked the public, he's thanked his cabinet, he's thanked Dominic Raab for his work, but he says he understands the feeling of lockdown being difficult for everybody, but he is warning us not to come out of it too early in case the curve that's starting to flatten and even decline starts to go up again. And so he's resisting pressure from members of his own cabinet, like Philip Hammond, fearing for the economy, from opposition leaders. Keir Starmer also wants a lockdown strategy announced, and he is resisting that pressure from party donors as well, business people who want more clarity on that. He says now is not the moment, but there will be more transparency, more clarification over the next few days.
Victoria Smith joining us there from London. Thank you very much.